Welcome back to Sports with Hunzi. This is the second edition, third edition, nonetheless. Please make sure to like and subscribe, leave a review. If you do not leave a 5-star review, I am inclined to believe that you are a hater. And let's just face it, nobody wants to be a hater. So today, I wanted to go through the NFL prediction, or I should say my own NFL predictions. I'll go division by division, pick out the 3 wild card teams on each side, and then go through the final 4 teams, including the Super Bowl matchup and the Super Bowl winner. Talk a little bit about why I think certain things, and probably get none of these things right. But who knows? It could all happen. So let's get right to it. First, I'll start in the NFC with the division winners. First division in the NFC West, I have the Rams. I think the defense will carry them this year. I think the offensive line is healthier in LA. I think Sean McVay is a great coach, and the continuity on the defense, I think, will carry them through the division. The East, a little bit of a toss-up, but ultimately, well, I say a toss-up, but I was contemplating between the Commanders and the Eagles. I ultimately picked the Eagles in the NFC East. The offensive line and the defensive line are still intact, and they are healthy. They are going to be the best trenches in football again, once again this year. I don't know why I would pick against them. In the North, I have Green Bay. They seemed to find a rhythm towards the end of the year last year. They are putting together a much better run game with a healthy Josh Jacobs, and I think the Packers last year would have been better had they had Jordan Love for the whole season and had that continuity. I think the makeshift game plans in the middle of the season took them out of rhythm. So I see them winning the division, especially with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn leaving Detroit. Not to say that the Lions are going to be bad, but I just think Green Bay has a little bit more continuity, and they were so young last year. I think they win the division. In the South, I'm picking Tampa Bay again. The offensive line, despite Tristan Wirfs being hurt for the first couple of games, I still think is going to be the best in the NFC South. I think they have the best quarterback in the NFC South. And with Baker being healthy, Mike Evans being healthy, I think Chris Godwin will be back in time. Bucky Irving, I don't understand why they would. I should say, I don't think New Orleans is going to be good, and I don't think Carolina is going to be good, and I do not think Atlanta is going to be any better than they were last year. So, potential four-peat, which I think they've won Tampa Bay's 3 in a row for winning the South. I could be wrong, but nonetheless, those are my division winners in the NFC. I'll go to the AFC first before I get to the wild card winners in the NFC. So in the AFC, I have the West being won by the Chiefs. I just don't want to pick against Patrick. Doesn't make any sense as of this point. History repeats itself until he loses that division. No point in picking against him. In the East, I have the Bills. I think that's pretty common. And it's not going to be a hot take considering I don't think many people have very many expectations for New England. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be any better than they were last year. Tua may be healthy, but that offensive line is still not working well. Teron Armstead retired, and they've drafted only one offensive lineman in replacement, while it was a bottom 10 offensive line last year. So I just don't expect much out of them, and I don't expect anything out of New York. I think Aaron Glenn needs at least 2 years. I think Justin Fields is a bridge. They may win a couple games here and there, but I don't think they have any chance at winning the division. The North, why bet against Lamar? Lamar is far and away the best quarterback in the AFC North. I know that may be a hot take for some people who think Joe Burrow is better than him, but I think Lamar's the third best quarterback in the NFL behind just Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. The Ravens defense, based on who they drafted, I think is a little bit better, a little bit more experienced, and I think they'll be a little bit more organized this year than they were last year. Towards the end of the year with the injuries, they were disorganized, which is uncharacteristic for them in the playoffs, and I'm hopeful that they put it back together this year. I think Cincinnati will be strong. I just don't think Cincinnati has the team built around the right aspects right now, considering Trey Hendrickson's still unsigned and the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, yes, they got signed. I don't know that that was the best option for the team. I know it's the coolest option, and it's going to be cool to watch. I don't find them to be productive on the defensive side of the field. And in the AFC North, I think you have to be defense. You have to have a good defense. So that's why. And then finally, the South, I had a hard time picking, and this is more biased than it is good judgment, but I have the Jags winning it. I think the Texans, and really my line of thinking is who has the better offensive line this year, Houston or Jacksonville, and I would pick Jacksonville based on who we've signed in the offseason, Macari, and our, who else did we get? Oh, it's escaping me right now, but I think it was 5 total acquisitions on the of Fred Johnson. So our offensive line is going to be revamped, and we have great depth. I don't think Houston has the offensive line. I think Houston has all the right pieces elsewhere. They're going to have a good defensive line. They will have a good defensive back. Well, I mean, Derek Stingley's back there, as well as the wide receiving core. Nico Collins can carry that as long as he stays healthy. And I think CJ Stroud is a fantastic quarterback. I don't see them protecting him well, and considering they didn't do it last year and made no improvements to their offensive line as much as, and trading away their best offensive line, Laramie Tunsil, I don't understand how they would be better than they were last year. What's his name? The OC in Houston, now that I am blanking on his name, but they lost their OC. They have a delicate offensive line. I just don't see them being better than Jacksonville this year with Liam Cohen stepping into the office and the additions on the offensive line. I see Jacksonville pulling out the division 9-8, 10-7 would be cool. I think the Jags get it done. Sorry for that last little Jacksonville ramble, but circling back to the wild card winners in the NFC. So just to rehash, I have the Rams winning the West, the Eagles winning the East, the Packers winning the North, and Tampa Bay winning the South. So 3 NFC wildcard teams this year. I have the Cardinals, the Niners, and the Lions. That would be 3 NFC West teams in the playoffs. I do think the NFC West is going to be extremely strong this year, minus Seattle, who gave up Geno for Sam Darnold. I think that comes back to haunt them. I don't think Sam Darnold is enough to handle the lack of offensive line in Seattle. I think the Cardinals themselves, with Glennon coming into his 3rd season now, I think Kyler Murray has a bounce back year. I think they get organized, and I think that defensively they're going to be one of the better teams in the NFC. I don't know that I don't think that they win the NFC, mainly because the Rams and the Niners are in the division. I think it may be the toughest division in all of the NFL right now, but I see them making a push. There's always at least one team that comes out of nowhere each year, and I think Arizona has a chance to do that this year. For the Niners, I don't think they're strong enough to win the division, but I do think they're going to be really just beat up on the ordinary teams if they can get healthy in the wide receiver room and can get people signed. If Ayuk comes back and has an Ayuk type of year and Jawan Jennings gets re-signed, I think they're going to be fine. As long as everybody stays healthy, on paper, they look good. If they don't stay healthy, they won't make the playoffs. But my prediction is they stay healthy this year and they make a run for it. So that's my second wild card team. Last wild card team is the Lions. With the turnover in coaching, I don't believe in them to be as steady as they were last year. I think their best hope is holding on to a wild card spot. If somebody in the division gets injured, like a Jordan Love gets injured again, I think they have a better shot at winning it. But the Lions, to me, they have all the right pieces. Will they have the right organization this year? That's a lot of turmoil. It's a big broken heart that they've had over the past 2 years. That's a lot to overcome, especially when your most thought-provoking and what's the word I'm looking for? Revolutionary coaches walk out the door, and Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. I don't think a team has ever won the Super Bowl or made the playoffs when both offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator have left in the same season. But I think Detroit, with Dan Campbell's leadership, has a chance to at least make the playoffs. I think they will. So those are my 3 NFC wildcard teams. My AFC wildcard teams, I have Oakland, Denver, and Cincinnati. That is ultimately 3 AFC West teams in the playoffs. Starting with Oakland, I think Pete Carroll is going to do Pete Carroll things with Geno Smith playing quarterback and them drafting Gentry. I think they're going to be entertaining, and at the very least, they're going to be nuanced when it comes to how Las Vegas. Wow, how bad is that? So I have Las Vegas in there. Las Vegas is going to make the playoffs, and Las Vegas, what I was saying about nuance, I think with Pete Carroll at the helm, they do some cool things this year. They've always been a team that's hung around over the past couple of years at that 9-8 mark, 8-9 mark, where they've had a chance to make the playoffs. I think Pete gets them over the hump. I think Geno has a really good year, and they stun some people. I think they come out of nowhere. Denver, really strong defense. Sean Payton offense. Bo Nix in his second year. They have the right pieces. They have the right trenches. They have the right coaching. They're playing, I think, a second or third place schedule, so they won't have the toughest schedule in all of football. And their continuity going into their second year under Sean Payton leads me to believe that they have a really good chance at making the playoffs and even making a run. If they run the ball well and they play good defense, they'll have a chance to compete just like anybody else. Last is Cincinnati in the wild card spot. I think Cincinnati is in a good spot. They play in the AFC North, and it's going to be tough. They're going to have to win a lot of shootout games, and they're going to have to stay healthy. My hope is for the entertainment value and for the sake of, I just believe in Joe Burrow. I believe in Joe and how he organizes things around him. I think with Zach Taylor coaching, I still think his experience and Joe's experience and the continuity of them together over the past couple of years is enough that when you look at the AFC North and the other contenders around the league, they are going to be one of very few people who have the same quarterback and the same coach at the helm this year. So yeah, that's it for the wild card winners. Finally, I have my top 4 teams, meaning the AFC Championship, NFC Championship, and then I'll have a Super Bowl matchup and a Super Bowl winner. I'll explain my thoughts behind those. So in the NFC, I have the Eagles and the Rams. Not much to say other than, at least for the Eagles, trenches win football games. If they're happy and healthy, I see them running the ball. Nothing really changes, and they make it back to the NFC Championship game. I think they ultimately beat the Rams and they make their way to the Super Bowl. So that's who I have on the NFC. And the AFC, I have the Chiefs and the Bills. I don't like betting against Patrick Mahomes. I do think the Bills will have a better offensive line than the Chiefs do this year. If they get the opportunity to play each other inside the playoffs once again, regardless of where it is, I think the Bills have a much better opportunity to win in the trenches. And I think with Josh Allen's maturity recently, I think this gives them the best shot at winning the AFC Championship game that they've had in prior years. So I have the Bills and the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and then ultimately, this is a little bit more biased than it is, I guess, my head, my brain and my head. I have the Bills being the Eagles. Just it's what my heart told me. Not really anything else other than I think the Bills, like I said when playing the Chiefs, I think the offensive line, the continuity, this is their best shot to win this year. I know that they don't have a bunch of weapons, but I think Josh Allen is so good, and I think the defense will be very well coached. If they can stay healthy, I think they have a chance to beat anybody. So those are my predictions. That's my Super Bowl prediction. And that's about it. That was, once again, Sports with Hunzi. Please make sure to like and subscribe so that maybe one day I could do this for a living. Please leave a 5-star review, because if you leave a 4-star review, I will be inclined to believe that you are indeed a hater. And don't be a hater. Nobody likes those.